got a friend of mine here I'd like to introduce you to. He's going down that same path that I've been down. He's on his second or third property. Mathew and Jenn, you want to come up? And family. Got the whole crew. All right.
Oh, I love that we got the whole crew up here.
Yeah, I do.
They just want to say
Don't
hi.
be shy. You want my microphone?
I think they just want to talk to the microphone.
Well, I have them say hi.
Hello.
Okay.
I like lizards. I like snakes.
They wouldn't tell us what they were going to say.
They're reptiles.
At least it was G-rated, right?
So far, haven't had too much trouble with that, but we're getting to that point.
It's all fun. I know it's hard to believe, but everybody will tell you that they grow up so fast. But
yeah,
mine just graduated from college, and it did go by pretty fast. There were times where I thought it was going to go on forever, but it's been fun. Still fun.
It's definitely gone fast, and like them being really young is when we got started in all this, and that was a big reason why. So
yeah. I wish I would have found lifestyles when my kids were that young, but anyway. So
they're a big reason we're here. So
yeah, that's good.
We'll talk about
legacy.
Yes. All right.
So
I'll take this one. Yes. So
you guys started out with a small property, right?
Yeah. So we started out.
It's 38 units.
Mostly Matt started out. 38 units in Irving in 2020, right before COVID hit. That was the last time we were up on the stage was talking about that property. I was still actually working at that time, and he had retired from his W-2 a few years earlier. We had just gotten into lifestyles at the urge of my mother, and he bought the property right before COVID hit, and then kind of had this like, oh my God, what did I just do moment when March 2020 hit. That actually went very well, and we sold that one February 2022, right?
Yep.
And had just bought the property we're talking about today, January 2022. So we now have this property is 146 units in Arlington, Texas, not very far from here. I retired from my W-2 in September, so I think last time we were here, I was talking about like that was our goal, and we've met the goal. So.
Good for you.
Yes.
So retired both of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Now you said that you found lifestyles because of your mom, right?
So my mom lives in Houston, and I actually think she had heard it on the radio too, or something. And for years, like she would come up to Dallas and visit us and see the kids, and I'd talk about it. I'm in this deal, and I met Curtis Haynes, and you guys should really do it. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. First, I think I'm like, this has got to be a scam. And it's like, well, I've got a really good paying job. I don't want to give that up. And then she said, well, Matt would make a really good lead. And I think we finally were just like, whatever. But then there was a really good Christmas deal for new members, and so we got in and immediately started investing.
And I think most of our members come because they know somebody who's been here, and they told them, and they
absolutely.
I know your story, and you were at TI, right?
Yep.
And I know that there's a lot of people at Lifestyles that used to have W-2 jobs at TI.
There's a lot of talent that's been pulled over here from TI, and they have no idea.
Did that play into
No.
between your mom and did you hear about it at TI?
I didn't, but that 2-day that I went to right after we joined, the first face I saw on the screen was Kevin Chalmers.
You're like, oh, I know that guy.
At the time was a national mentor, and so I was like, yeah, I've passed that guy in the hallway for 10 years, and I had no idea he was here. At that moment, I think he had just left TI. But we never really got to work together. But yeah, I mean, Kevin, I know Carlos was right back there.
Yeah.
Amrit, Jeff Culverhouse. Yeah.
Melanie Callahan.
There's a bunch of them.
There's a bunch of people.
A bunch of us.
Yeah.
Good story, though.
Can we back up? You guys flew through this slide. Get back up one, Sam. There you go. I love this point at the bottom. Let's talk about this. Your first syndication, in 2 years, you gave your investors what kind of return?
It was a 60%.
60% return. How would like
during
to make,
COVID.
How would you guys like to make 30% return per year? Right? Isn't that pretty cool? And And I have to ask your investors, how much work did they do in the property? Did they pick up trash every week?
No.
Did they swing the hammer?
Unfortunately, they never offered.
Oh, they didn't offer to go pick up the trash?
They had to log into their bank account and see the ACH
Yeah.
land.
So, yeah, they love it. Money just showed up magically in my account. How cool is that? So that's the cool thing about being a passive investor, guys. You have people that you know the training they've had. Hopefully you've gotten to meet them and know them and get to if you like them and trust them, invest with them, and they give you 30% return per year, 60% over 2 years. Isn't that pretty cool? Very cool. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We were definitely happy with that, especially after the kind of storms that COVID brought in the short term. Ended up working out in the end.
Yep.
But between that one and this one, we kind of only know kind of rough seas right after closing on something.
From here on out, it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah, we're hoping the third one doesn't have an interesting event right afterward.
They all have interesting stories, too.
Yes. Why did we join? So we've kind of talked about like my mom and urging us, but really the why was here, this craziness happening behind me.
Who's given us some excellent performance art.
Yes, she's nervous. That's why she has the headphones on, but obviously not nervous enough. So our daughter Evie was born in 2013. She's 10 years old. And then our son was born about 19 months later. So between having two small kids at home, two stressful jobs, we had a period in there where I actually left work. I couldn't do it anymore, having two small kids and never seeing them every day. So I actually left the corporate world for about 15 months while Matt worked. And then I missed it. I kind of missed like talking to adults all day and raising tiny children is like the hardest job in the world, and I'm not very built for that, I don't think. And so you're not anymore. So I actually went back to work, and for the same company, my same boss asked me back, gave me a really great job that I loved, but once again, we had two W-2s and no time to see our kids, lots of Chipotle eating. And so Matt we had decided like, wow, we kind of liked when one person was at home. So he decided things were, in our careers, were at a place where he was going to actually stay home. And I was going to be the breadwinner, if you will, bring home the paycheck. So we did that for a while, and then we finally listened to my mom and said, like, maybe he also kind of was, needed something to do, so.
Well, so what I was looking into before we joined Lifestyles was I was looking into building a turnkey business like Don was talking about, which wouldn't have really gotten us where we wanted to go anyway.
So we joined Lifestyles in December 2018.
End of 2018,
And almost immediately, I was still working. He dove right in. So almost immediately we started investing passively, and he at the same time was taking his LEED certification so we could get there. He's like, this is my goal. This is what we're going to do. We're going to buy. I'm like, okay, we're going to buy an apartment complex. Okay.
Yeah. I think from joining December 2018 to being under contract to buy an apartment was October 2019.
Yeah.
So less than a year.
Less than a year. So, and that brought us to our first
good.
property we bought in 2020. All right, next. Okay, so our second property, the one that we bought in 2022, the one that we will be talking about today, is called 1012 West. It was formerly called Arbor Terrace. It's located in Arlington, Texas, 146 units. It's a 1969 property. We bought it for just over $118K a door, $6.5 million cash out of pocket.
You pulled that out of your own pocket, right?
Yes, all of it. All of it. No.
How did you get that money then?
Go ahead.
Well, so we certainly had a
His job.
good chunk of it being our second lead deal, but yeah. So we got a $14 million loan. At the time was 3.6%. The only loan available for this particular property was a bridge loan, so it was a floating rate loan. That made us nervous, so we went really aggressive on our interest rate hedging. So we got a really aggressive rate cap, which almost immediately kicked in. As soon as we got from January, we closed. March, they started hiking rates. By April, we were getting paid by our rate cap already.
So not to be too complicated.
Sorry.
You were just kind of hedging. It's like an insurance policy.
Exactly.
With rate increasing.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Okay.
essentially, our initial rate was 3.6%. That was when the Fed had funds at 0. Our maximum interest rate with our hedge was 4%. So we had basically a 0.4% gap during the life of that
So
term.
we paid for the privilege to keep our rate at a cap,
Yeah,
while the actual interest
We
rate
may be
was
getting a
going above
little
that.
too technical.
Yes, but
This is the 302 level question. Just know that they had a floating interest rate and there was a protection level. It
There you go.
wouldn't go too high. And if anybody wants, we can get any questions on that in the weekend. But where I was going is that $6.5 million. How many investors did you have in this deal?
So we ended up with 85 plus us two.
85. And what was the lowest amount you brought in?
Well, we kept spots open for people as low. I think we took one as low as 20, but
20.
mostly we were at 25 was our
Okay,
lowest.
so if you had 20 or 25 and you liked this couple and you said, hey, I like that deal, put the money in, and now you're running that money for them. You're putting it to work for them.
Yeah, exactly. So we just like when people were talking when we came in, like people when they kind of do syndications, they try to keep some spots open for folks that have just started. Usually, they often have just less money to invest. So
And were all the members local here? All the investors?
No,
No.
I know. I mean, there's a lot from Texas, but we've got folks from several different states. I'd have to think back, but I think we had 10 or 11 state securities things we had to file.
Yeah, so it's more of that live where you want, invest where you
Right.
want.
Exactly. Yeah, there's plenty of investors who aren't local.
and a rehab budget, which will kind of show you in detail some of what we've been doing with that. Go ahead, Matt, with this.
Okay, so this is just the high level numbers. When we put this together like a month ago, they needed the numbers. So like things have changed a little bit because we actually swapped out some stuff on our rate cap and everything. But effectively, the income 2.1 million or so, and then right around $1 million of expenses. That roughly equates to about a $45,000 monthly cash flow. Now, that's, like I said, that's gone down a little bit because we basically extended our runway on our floating rate cap. So that brought our monthly cash flow down, but that gets us an extra 12 months. So now we have almost 2 full years from now before we have to really run out that runway on the bridge loan. We before we did that, we were holding about 2.5% of distributable cash, but we were holding it for that reason because we knew there was going to be something on the horizon. And then it's at a 5 cap. It works out to be currently worth about $22 million.
All right, now we're going to pause here for a second. So there was a lot of stuff that he mentioned that I know if you're new, didn't really understand. They had a floating rate, interest rates went up, their interest expense went up, right? So that's hurt their distributions, but let's look at the valuation of the property here. So you said 22.1 is the current valuation.
Right? Yeah,
What did you pay for it?
17,350.
17.3, and how much rehab did you put in it?
Well, so it was about 1.3, but 900,000 of that was in the loan.
So it's like $500,000 you had to pull out.
I think it ended up being like 650 because we had to add a little bit on a little bit later. Yeah.
0.6. All right.
Yep.
So let's round this up to 18, right? So 22.1 minus 18 is $4 million that your equity has gone up in this property. And how much did you raise?
$6.5 million.
So what roughly is the increase in equity that you have generated here?
60-something%.
60-some%. Who wants to invest with these guys? Another 60%er. Pretty good, my hand. That's pretty cool. So sorry to stop your flow there, but
That's all right.
we had to talk about how great it was.
All right, let's click to the next one if we can. So going through some of the rehab, Matt had mentioned some of the rehab loan some of the rehab budget we had in the loan. Some of it we put up front. Rebranding was the first thing that we did. When you looked at Arbor Terrace online, lots of the Google reviews, not so great, which is not uncommon when you're taking over a property, particularly with one that was managed the way that this one was when we took it over. So lots in the rebranding. We have a new monument sign that we just got installed within the last few months. If you want to click on. The first thing that we really did was redo the leasing office. So this property doesn't actually have its own standalone leasing office. They took one of the units, one bedroom unit, and converted it into a leasing office. And it really looked before like a one bedroom unit that had a desk in it. So we decided we need to open this up. We don't need a shower. We don't need a full kitchen. So we knocked all of that out.
So yeah, right over here, this was actually the kitchen right here. So there was a wall here. And so they had like a desk right here. None of this was here. This was just, they actually had this gigantic mirror on this wall. It was super ugly.
It was very 70s chic.
So they had a desk here, and then there was a desk in the manager's office. The kitchen was right here. So we just knocked that wall out.
Open it up.
We didn't need any of the kitchen appliances.
Took out the shower and made a bigger closet for our staff to hold things. And brightened it up, changed some of the colors, and make it a little bit more appealing as people walk in. So that's the first thing they see. It really does look a lot more like a leasing office now and less like a one-bedroom apartment. All right, next. The next major upgrade that we do is, in our premium units especially, is in the kitchen area. You can see how kind of dingy it looked with the dark countertops. Almost all of them need either some sort of repainting, new backsplash to lighten it up because it is a very kind of cramped area. And then we're installing black appliances in the kitchen as well to give it a little bit more of a modern look.
And yeah, you can see like these are our premium units, so we actually have hard surface counters in these. So like our standard units also have the kind of refinished laminate, but in the premiums we add granite here, and then we also do like a tile surround in the shower.
People pay more for
They
that?
do. I was just about to say. So our premium units are getting, depending on how many bedrooms we're talking about, are getting anywhere from $100 to about $250 a month more than the standard units.
Oh yeah, so here's a picture of the shower before and after. I mean, it's a pretty stark difference. And
What was wrong with that one?
let me count the ways. The other thing that we noticed was almost every single bathroom in all 146 units was leaking when we did diligence. Like
Yes.
almost all of them. The water bill was astronomical.
We've brought the water bill down over this first year by how much?
It's less than half of what it was when we took over. Like it was
So
insane.
you lower your operating expenses and you increase the rent,
Right.
and that's how the value is created.
Exactly, and like the previous owners were billing back some of that water, but the more water you use, the more you charge them, the less money they're paying you for stuff that actually makes you money. Because like we're just getting reimbursed for the utilities. It's not like we're making any money on that. And the pool was
Yes.
was kind of
So they
amazing.
had not been using it.
What's
during all
wrong
of
with
COVID.
that?
That's
beautiful.
The COVID pool.
Hey, wait a minute. Is that where they had this?
Did you guys swim here?
Y'all fell in love with reptiles? Oh, I thought that's where you kept your lizards.
I see several reptiles in there.
Yeah.
So they shut the pool down when COVID shut everything down, and they never opened it again. So it hadn't been inspected. Like I learned a whole lot about what the city requires on a public pool because I just hadn't dealt with it before. And so we brought it kind of back to life, and it took a lot longer than I'd like, but the city didn't help us there.
Think about it from a resident's perspective. How do you feel when you look out and this pool's outside your unit? You feel good about where you live? Do you feel good about where you live here? Look how nice the
Yeah,
porch is patio.
these are all our premium units
Yeah,
now
so
because they got the pool view.
Yeah.
Like
We added these cedar wrappings.
there's a grill here.
Added a grill,
Not-
furniture.
So you get
before.
more rent for the ones by the pool now, where before
Yeah.
you had
pay
to
them to
discount
move
them.
That was yes. That was an eyesore.
Now, I don't know if any of the neighbors can see this, but let's just say there was a house within visual range of this. Do you think somebody who lives in the neighborhood is real happy to see that? Right? No, I don't like the owners of that place. Do I like them? Do I like the new owners? Yeah, I like the new owners. You think the city likes this? That's a hazard, right? The city like this, and I'm sure you have to do all the weekly testing in the water. And stuff,
Yeah.
so
So we keep the log and all that good stuff with the pool, but the city had it with the old owners too, because we inherited a bunch of problems from them too that we had to smooth over with the city. But when they see you putting in effort and of course money to fix it, like they change, they turn around.
because they can raise your taxes.
Yes.
That happens too, yes. So yeah, here's a picture of kind of like they already had the cedar fences on the bottom. They kind of had this like orangey red door color scheme. So we kind of got rid of that and then just restained the bottoms, and then we added the cedar wrap on the top. I mean, one, it just looks so much nicer, and then people put all kinds of crap out there.
It hides a
And
lot,
so, like,
and it looks
you just-
nice.
And because it was
You
built
mean
in
like this?
'69, like I don't know if you can tell, but like these are really short. So like we walked out there, and like if you walk up to it, this thing's coming up to here. So like if you lean wrong, like that could be real
Kissing the
bad.
pavement.
So yeah, so we raised the height, and so the exterior stairwells.
So these
were a
have
little rough.
interior stairwells. That some of them, when we took over, actually had a door, although nobody ever shut it. So I don't know how it used to operate, but I guess there was a door. You open the door to go up the stairs. Nobody was using those doors anymore. They were just staying open to the elements. A lot of them had carpet. The hallways smelled. They're very small. They don't have circulation.
There's no
some of
AC
them-
in here,
no
so if
AC,
this
some of
door
them
is
were
closed
covered
in the
with
summer,
mosquitoes.
imagine how that was for however many decades that the doors were there.
I can smell it from here. It's not a good smell.
No, yeah, it was bad, and like this carpet, when it gets old, it like attracts mosquitoes. So like
Lots of
almost
mosquitoes.
you walk up and almost everyone has a ton of mosquitoes hanging out in that open, just dead
It's an
space.
amenity.
Okay, so these are kind of the high level numbers. Sorry, I keep getting really technical. I don't know what you want us to highlight here, but I think the main thing is like this line right here. NOI is basically our income minus our operating expenses, right? So what money are we making before we have to pay debt?
If you come to the 2-day, we'll talk about NOI is the key to value in an apartment space. It stands for net operating income, and as your income goes up, the value of the property goes up. And we already saw they've raised the value of this property 60%. In how many months?
So we bought it in Jan 22. So I mean, it's like 15 months.
So 60% in 15 months.
16
Not
months,
bad.
something like that. Yeah.
Not bad.
So yeah, we've pushed the NOI quite a bit, and then the only change now is that because we had to make that change with our debt, these numbers went up a little bit, so cash flow came down. But
So you can see they had a floating interest rate, so the debt service is going up a little bit. The cash flow, actually, your cash flow is still rising because you're raising the income levels.
yeah,
more, so that's good.
So we've been able to execute better than what we had underwritten as far as the pushing the rents on it. So that's definitely helped.
And your cash on cash return is improving, but you said you haven't been distributing, so you can hang on to that in case you have to buy another
Exactly.
insurance policy.
All of this was taken up by that modification of our interest rate insurance, and then this year that raised our max rate a little bit from a 4 to a 5. So that brings this down a little bit, but it buys us all the way through year 3, which was when the loan ends.
So Don, have they done a good job?
But that was a plan. You know, this was it's not a permanent loan. It's a loan to actually do all the improvements. So
Right, and we knew
There will-
that the initial rate cap was not going to take us through the end of our expected hold. So
So-
yes, we
so-
knew that was the plan.
what was the plan when you bought this? You're going to have a temporary loan, and then what?
Well, so it was really we were aiming for like a kind of a 3 to 5 year hold because that was really the term of the original loan, and then we were planning on refinancing probably somewhere in there depending on what that looked like, or just selling it at that point.
refi or sell.
Yeah.
Now I really like the refis because when you get a new loan, a lot of times you get your money back, and that gives you the money back to go buy more property. That's what we did.
And Don, when we do a
years.
cash out refi, how much tax do we pay on that?
Zero.
Zero. It's a nice round number. It's easy to calculate, and we'll explain that on this weekend about how we do that.
Let's see. So this was on the equity capture side, pushing into so year 1. There's a lot of expense and everything else, so we got pushed through that. Year 2, we really kind of hit our stride at the beginning of year 2 on the income side. So we've been able to improve the value of the property quite a bit, and then just extrapolating out from what we're getting right now and into year 3 that we're on the pace for year 2 is it's up here. So we're looking at like $5.5 million after 3 years.
So how many of the units have you actually done? Did the interior remodel and
Yeah, so
rehab?
I was just looking at that the other day because we just did our second loan draw for the rehab money. I want to say we've turned like 88 units total out of the 146.
Just over half.
So
Yeah.
Right.
we're more than half, and they made us put money in the loan for all of the units, even though there's almost no way we're going to touch
hardly
all the
anybody
units.
does that. I mean, if you hold on to it long enough, I had one I had for years, and I ended up having to rehab my rehabs, and that's another story. But
Yeah.
you can end up doing that. But okay,
So the main plans to improve the property. One was just interior renovation. So everything was super classic. Y'all saw some of the pictures inside and outside. So what our standard thing is we take 60% of the units and we say these are going to be our standard rehabs. Like, I used to use the word basic, but that doesn't sell very well. So we call those standard, and the 40% is what we do premium, which is where we do the hard surface counters. We make sure that the appliances are more or less new in those ones. Like if we've got a standard, we'll move appliances from one so we can get a new one for the premium. And then in all the units, we do like brush nickel fixtures, make sure the vinyl flooring's in good shape, tile the backsplash in the kitchen. We make sure there's ceiling fans with lights in every bedroom. There's so many older properties I've seen have a bedroom with 0 lights, and they just have the light switch control one of the outlets somewhere. And it to us and to our leasing staff, it just makes a huge difference when people actually have a light and a fan in their room. Like, and it's not that expensive to put one in. So we do that, and then we also do the built-in microwave in the kitchen, just because these units are smaller. There's not much counter space. You would take up a third of the counter space of the whole kitchen just by having a countertop microwave. So that makes a big difference. And then the premium, we do the hard surface and the tile shower surround. But the really big one on this one was they had relatively large, nicely shaped 2 bedrooms, and they had a bunch of them. So like 60% of the property was 2 bedrooms. So what we saw was that we could basically add a wall and make it a 3-bedroom. There was already a window in that room. We had to build a small closet, and then we had to basically, some of the units already had an HVAC run into that space, but others we just had to branch it off. It was about a 6-foot run from an already existing line.
And
So do you get more money for a 3-bedroom than a 2-bedroom?
Absolutely, yes.
and the previous owners had 2 of these on site when we took over, so you could tell that they were testing the waters on that. But we've actually had to like keep bumping up our price on our 3-bedroom because they go so quickly. So, you know, if you look at supply and demand, like the demand is there, so we kind of keep bumping it up. Yes, there's absolutely a premium, even though the square footage is exactly the same as the 2-bedroom.
Right, but you didn't have 3 bedrooms before.
We had 2.
You had 2.
Somebody had done 2 of them. So
Right.
like we knew
So
it
we
was
had
possible,
the
obviously,
template.
going in.
We knew exactly what we needed to do.
So, at a risk of getting too into math, I'm gonna do high level though. How much does it cost you to take and convert a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom and all the other premium upgrades you do? How much does that cost?
With all the premium upgrades?
With everything you do, how much does that cost?
So if we've got a premium unit that has a 3-bedroom conversion, we have budgeted $10K for that.
$10,000. Okay, $10,000 to convert a classic 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom premium. You see the rent bump from $1,000 to over. It's about $500 a month, right? $6,000 a year increase in rent, and this is going to blow you away. You'll see this math if you come this weekend. That raised the value of this property about $120,000 based on how apartments are valued.
per unit.
Per unit.
Yeah, per one we do.
So let's say another classic 2-bedroom comes up. Would you spend the $10,000? Yes, because you're going to increase the value to $120,000 by spending 10. Is that a guess? No, you've proven it. Now you just rinse and repeat, right? That's the beautiful thing about multifamily. We'll talk a lot about that over the weekend.
How has our life changed? Well, I spend a whole lot more time with these 2 now. Before we were seeing them in the morning off to school, we would pick them up from school or daycare or whatever, taxi them to wherever they needed to go, feed them quickly, shower them quickly, get them to bed. And there was very little time, I felt like quality time, that we really got to spend with them. One of the things that they both have told me since September is like, oh my God, we are so glad that you're not working anymore. So
How cool
priorities
is that?
for sure.
Do your neighbors, do they ever question you? I know that was a big thing for us when we go from like doing that, leaving the driveway every morning at 7:30, whatever, and coming back in at 6, and now we're like walking around the yard with the dogs and opening the mail and I'm in shorts and t-shirt, and they're like, what's that guy doing?
Yeah, So we've definitely felt some of that. I think it's a little bit different now because after COVID, so many people work from home. So you see a lot more people just out and about in general.
But we have had a
yeah.
lot of neighbors like just curious. What do you guys do?
Yeah.
You know, so it's fascinating to tell them what we do, and they're like, "Wow, you own an apartment complex? Like what?" Yes.
But
so,
that also means you become the person that if somebody's out of town, they're like, well, I know Matt's at home, so let me call him and have him bring the package in from our porch. So yeah, short term, we're getting through all of those renovations we have in the budget for 1012 West. I mean, we're kind of just sailing the debt market seas right now. I mean, it's kind of rough, but like I said, we executed something that gives us a lot more time. And at this point, that's our friend. So
Yeah, you know the thing I've found on multifamily investing is that as long as you have time and options, and you got some working capital to just stay with it, it's always come out good for me in any deal I've invested in.
yeah,
It's only when you get crunched up where you have to make decisions or you have to change your original plan. But as long as you have time is your friend in real estate.
right. And I say this anytime I give a webinar when we're raising money is like, I'm putting a plan in front of you, but I can guarantee you that's not how this is going to work out. But I am going to keep every option possible open to this, because like another one of our options when we executed the rate change was we could have looked at a refinance at that point, but that changes your flexibility as well. So we kept that open. We kept our flexibility to sell. It made sense, and you just kind of deal with the stuff you can't control.
Yeah, time and options.
Yes, exactly.
long-term goals. Well, continue investing passively, expanding our income streams. We're trying to get these goobers involved, but so far little interest except like earning some money, posing for pictures and shredding paper. And donating our time, because we do have more of it now. So that is great.
Our accountant keeps telling us we need to put them on the payroll to move some of that.
I told them they actually have to do work, though. So
Yeah.
it's awful.
Only $7
They're starting
an
to
hour.
understand
Wow.
the math. It's great.
I think you have a potential union forming here.
Yeah. I think we should tell them that the minimum wage doesn't apply to family labor. They're so as far as our team goes, the mentors here, like we talked to all the mentors. We talked to Don, we talked to Mike, talked to Alex. Mike's been the one that I've reached out to the most. Terry is awesome, I'm ops consultant here in the North Texas area. With LS Realty, we worked with Carolyn Putney on both of the properties that we acquired. She's been great so far. And then on the vendor side, Richard and Jesus are at Dodson Legal. They do all of our real estate transaction and syndication documents, make sure we stay on the good side of the SEC. And then John Simpson with Swifty, he was up. I saw him here earlier. There he is in the back. Like, awesome with anything marketing, website, swag, all that good stuff. Makes it super easy.
That's it.
That's it. Hey, first of all, any quick questions for the couple here? Yeah.
Yes. No.
The question was, do they keep any carpeting?
Not at this property, no.
carpeting. Most of the units already had vinyl plank in them. We did come across one unit that we turned that I think had all original fixtures from 1969. It was fabulous, but we ripped it out, yes, and put in.
Vintage, you can sell those at the resale shops now.
Yeah, I know some people like carpeting the bedrooms, but from like the operations perspective, like the vinyl is just so much easier and it's easy to clean.
And you know what? When you don't have carpet in the bedroom and somebody that really wants it, you can go get a rug
Right.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you get
Yep.
it any color you want, any designs.
So those of us in cold weather states, they require carpet in the bedrooms. But oh yes,
They're required. Okay.
because it's cold when you step out of bed. Yeah, back here.
Mathew, you guys do a great job with your renovations and your operations. I must ask, can you share who your contractor is?
For our renovations? So yeah, we work with a company called Fast and Furious Remodeling, and they are very fast and they are quite furious, which works out great.
Any other questions, guys?
Pearson. Pierson.
We should probably just put it on the slides. Everybody asks everybody's last name now. Anything else? All right. Hey, give them a big hand. They did an awesome job. Congratulations, guys.